My name is Sheila. Welcome to my channel. Well, wherever this one is, because it's going to be on more than just my channel. We're doing Handbook for the New Paradigm, volumes 1, 2, and 3. You're in volume number 3, entitled Becoming, and we are on transmission number 27, which is on page 318 if you're following along with me in the book. The question arises as to what others will be doing while those committed to birthing the new paradigm of experience are focused within that process. Except for those who are committed to the agenda of the negative forces, these will be creating the necessary chaos that will allow for change. Therefore, it is necessary that those who contribute to that aspect of the change be released from any judgment on the part of the creative group and allowed to make the contribution that is within their ability to do so. And I want to say that because, right, this is speaking, in my mind, what this is speaking on are those who don't want to wake up, aren't going to wake up, are still perpetuating the lies, whatever, right? Like a lot of people want to be mad at, these journalists because of the way they're acting and all of this, or these people are evil. Oh, well, but they are part of this whole entire thing. Remember, everything has to break down as well, because none of this can stand moving forward, right? And I think that's what this is referring to. Since many of those unable to allow themselves to join in the creative focus will be friends and family, this will make it difficult for the, quote, ground crew to stay focused and to, quote, allow them to contribute to the chaos. If it can be known and accepted that these may yet be drawn into the new paradigm, further into the process, then it will be easier to allow them the opportunity to make their contribution freely. And quite frankly, if I am focused on sovereignty for myself, then I must also stand by sovereignty of choice for the all. And but if they only knew doesn't matter, because at this point, everybody who wants to see will see. Who wants to move over into personal sovereignty, which is what it will take, will do so, regardless of what any of us say. And being in resistance to what it is they're experiencing, just for me, I know holds me back, right? It is important that those who choose to take part actively in focusing their intent and purpose toward bringing into manifestation a new paradigm of experience clearly understand that making a commitment lightly is not recommended. The material within this series of messages has attempted to educate step by step change in how each perceives the world around them as it is at the moment. It attempts to point out a logical and understandable method by which change can be initiated, but also to state plainly that taking part in changing the intended future of this planet and its inhabitants involves more cacti than roses on the path through the process. I really do feel like that's a true statement there. The exchange of cacti for roses happens near the ending of the scenario and indeed is well worth the experience. Each is encouraged to remember that once the focus on the desire for a new paradigm begins to coagulate within the mass consciousness, not in quantity of those doing so, but in agreement with both mental and emotional commitment, the universal laws of attraction and intentional creation begin to change the total situation, which is what I feel is happening now, which is why everyone sort of feels and sees that, oh no, more and more people really are starting to get it. That's what it feels like to me anyway. What is happening will be difficult to ascertain in the beginning and will appear in synchronistic occurrences that will not always be recognized. That's part of that whole paying attention too, but as far as I'm concerned, because synchronicities are there, is whether or not I catch them. And I can't catch them if I'm not paying attention. Further, once the momentum of people reading and resonating with the messages and the desire for a new human experience begins to multiply, allowable contributions by galactic neighbors can begin to manifest in further help. There will be those who simply begin to attune to the concept as it becomes subtly available within the mass consciousness and begin to add their desire for a new experience without knowing about the messages. And I feel like that's true too. I can point to at least two incidences in my life where people who thought I was absolutely out of my mind talking about the Mandela effect back in 2014, 2015, who now not only recognize it for themselves, but has actually no memory of not ever entertaining, because when it first happened, they were like, no, 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 that's just your faulty memory. And now that person knows and remembers that whole entire thing differently than I do. Right. So I really feel like that's the true statement there. And not never looked into conspiracies or anything of that nature. Thought I was crazy. We're not going to talk about this crazy stuff tonight. Was some of the things that I would get. But now whose eyes have been opened quite a bit, especially since the pandemic, right? Many will have the books given to them or find copies that were not utilized by those who did receive them, a demonstration again of synchronistic events that happen through the law of attraction as it subtly works. The thought vibrations, as those committed to the project read, reread, and discuss the concepts with like-minded individuals, contribute greatly to the invocation of the law of attraction. The power of their intention and commitment then invokes the law of intentional creation, and it is further fueled into creative action by the emotions that accompany the desire for this new experience. At this point, the person involved has initialized into motion two of the universal laws, holding the commitment and resolve to experience into wisdom. This opportunity then leads to the difficult invocation of the law of allowance. This requires that what has been called, quote, faith through, quote, knowing that the laws are real, do work and are working in the midst of the continued apparent success of that which needs to be changed, as well as while confusion breaks down what must change. The heroes, sung and unsung, of the new paradigm will be those who can commit, grasp the understanding of applying the basic universal laws and allow them to bring forth the desired goal through the breakdown and formation process. There will be no instant gratification. And I think that's a misnomer for me, from what I see, based on how each point of focus brings information in. And I'll give you an example. When I first started my channel, my inner guidance told me that my name was going to be viral. Now, because I just started the channel, and I was going to be going through, I found myself in July of 2017 in the midst of separating from my husband of 28 and a half years. And I asked both him and my son, based on my guidance, I told them what I got. And they both thought I was crazy and said, don't change your name, because I was going to change my name if they wanted me to. And they said, no, because no, you're not going to go viral. Don't. Well, my last name is Corona. And that was in 2017. And so the information that I got was not wrong. Corona did go viral. It was my interpretation of that information that came to me that was off. And it has to do with experiential filters. Everything we know from this perspective goes into what I think I got, right? And I think it had to happen that way so that I would specifically feel the way I feel right now. And so there's an awful lot of beings on this planet who have gotten information and have felt it as immediate. And I'll talk about this is like sort of like the event or the solar flash that could be part of that, right? That's why I think it's important that this say there will be no instant gratification. Nothing's going to happen like that. I mean, it could. I will absolutely hold that open because that's a potential possibility. And the more people who believe that it could make sure that happens, right? Because, we have heard in the twinkling of an eye, different things could happen, right? So it will not, but it goes on here to say it will not happen overnight. The plan to dehumanize the population of this planet is too well established to be changed quickly. But focused desire and purposeful intent can change it. And that's the other thing. I think that we have been doing that for some time. It can only be accomplished by living, breathing citizens who know that they are powerful beings with the laws of the universe and the creative flow of divine intent, that humanity will be allowed to choose its own destiny and is deserving of its inherent right to do this. It must, however, choose its path of self-choice or bow to the overseers who await that choice and do all in their power to influence humanity's decision. The decision can only be made by each individual, and those individual choices then meld together into a rising tide of intent and purpose. Hence the terms collective, right? The collective consciousness. Yeah. It does not matter how much mind control via multiple processes has been forced upon mankind. There will always remain triggers within the mind and heart that can be activated that bring about, quote, changes of the mind and undo all the programmed responses in a moment. Yeah, I think the more time passes, yeah, that's why Lisa and I had a conversation. I was led to share a lecture with her. We tuned into a Terence McKenna lecture, and the information on the novelty, his theory about novelty. I can sure feel it right now. There was a 1998 interview that was done, and I linked to it in the puzzle pieces playlist here on the channel. So if you're interested, go and take a listen to that. The further into this novelty that we are going, which I feel that we have surpassed all of that, and boy, you could see that that's what makes it feel faster, right? So all there will always remain triggers within the mind and heart that can be activated that bring about, quote, changes of the mind, end quote, and undo all the programmed responses in a moment. These awakenings are happening with greater and greater rapidity now as a result of many unique coincidences. And I would say also the desire for it to be so among folks like myself, right? And others that have been working towards that. As the awareness spreads that a new experience is available for the taking by committed individuals, these will increase exponentially. The wave of desire for not only changes, but for reversal of the current trend toward slavery is beginning to manifest. Take heart and do not falter in desire or commitment. The time for the ground crew, well, it is a grand crew as well. The time for the ground crew to redouble its effort and continue on is now. Hold the desire clearly in mind and sense the movement of the universal laws as they support humanity. And be aware that there are many galactic fellow citizens that are awaiting the time to be of greater help when it is allowable. There are many cooperative facets that support this thrust for humanity to regain the right to determine its own destiny that are unknown. The ground crews are unaware of each other. However, what each does supports the others and the plan as a whole. I do feel like that is so true. I know a lot of folks that, would identify themselves as light workers feel very alone a lot. But you're not. Trust me, you're not. Um, so there is a plan of that, you can be sure. Just as the oppressors have a plan, there is a plan that does not oppose it, but transcends it. See, that's the other thing. All this talk about it's a spiritual battle and we have to fight evil, and all of that is also resistance to what is, which has to be put down. Right? Because law of attraction just brings you more resistance of what is. This is to bring in an entirely new paradigm. That is a very important difference that is significant to comprehend. What good would it do to simply oppose and block a planned negative experience? It is necessary to transcend it and create that which is new. Consider that concept carefully and remember it in discouraging moments. That's the end of number 27. Yes, that's a really good point and a big one for me, right? a lot of times whenever, and I know because a lot of this has been done in the medical industry, compartmentalization. We're going to specialize in this over here. We're only going to look at this over here, into and of and by itself, not in how it's related to every other thing that it touches, but only it, right? That's almost in every single thing now, not just the medical industry. It's in everything where people go into it and specialize, compartmentalize, and that sort of thing. And that's where I see that partially as there, right? Uh, when we compartmentalize this over here and forget about the law of attraction, the law of allowance, the law of intentional creation, uh, we've left out a lot of it, you know. So that's it for number 27. And I am going to record number 28, and that will be all for today. I think 4 days is pretty good. And I hope that you will continue to move towards that which brings you joy in each moment that presents itself to you. It really is just a matter of, your focus and attention and desire to do so, your desire to be open to seeing that there is more than one way to view a thing, do a thing, all of these sorts of things, opening oneself up to the possibility, plausibility of there being more. I'm sorry, but that's very exciting to me. Till next time, be well, my friends.